People who were the weird or quiet kids in high school, what's your side of the story? There's not much of a story. I just didn't feel the need to talk as much as other people. Yes, agreed. I felt a lot of people talked for the sake of saying something, but it was nothing of substance. I never knew how people could think up new things to talk about every day. I've never had the knack. Plus, I was so nervous of saying the wrong thing. School was a compulsory thing for me and I didn't use it for socialization. I went because I had to and I did what I had to do, and lived and learned outside of school. Plus interact only when I needed to, projects, plays, etc. I highly respect that. Still weird and quiet. Still don't like people. Same. It's a downward spiral. You get picked on a few times, and don't take it well. After a while you learn to not draw attention to yourself by being quiet and withdrawing. When you withdraw, you internalize more, which isn't necessarily healthy. Sadly, I went from the weird kid to the asshole. I was bullied from early middle school up until junior year of HS. That year I snapped and beat a kid with a history book. From that point on no one fucked with me, but I was emboldened with my newfound ability to fight back and picked fights with anyone. Took me years after, and a lot of mental health help, to come to terms with it and stop being a dick as a protection method. I have that same feeling. I hated everyone. Sounds like me as an adult. Yup. Moved from a very large city where I had a lot of friends to literally nowhere where I stuck out. I was the quiet guy who got bullied all the time until I taught myself, then my friends, to play instruments, then formed a punk band, then suddenly parties I was never invited to became the place to be if we were there. I never understood popularity since I'm either on one extreme or the other. I had undiagnosed mental illnesses and no mental health support system. I relate heavily to this one. I hope all is better for you now, less than 3. Same. On the spectrum, but just brushed it off as quirky and unperceptive. It is easier to ignore it as a child, but it was a big learning/adaptive curve in my early 20s. I'm weird all the time and quiet around strangers. Not a big deal. I just wished people were more tolerant of others. I feel this. It wasn't necessarily that I was quiet all the time. I just didn't talk in class with people I didn't really know. But I was a completely different and talkative person around friends or at sports practices. I wanted to go to medical school. I knew I wanted this since I was 6. I was not going to do anything to jeopardize my dreams, so I didn't do anything the other kids did. I didn't go drinking at the high school parties. I never did any drugs. I was a good kid. The few times I got sent to the principal's office, I was laughed at and sent back to class with no punishment. I caught hell for being a goody two shoes. What am I now? I'm a doctor. I had the same situation. I wanted to be a police officer my entire life and I didn't want anything to stand in the way of that goal, not to mention it's not a popular career choice this day and age, but I truly felt like I could make a difference. I spent nearly all of my time exercising and volunteering with a community service-based program through the department to get my name out there since I had no other connections. I am months away from beginning an academy at this point. Congrats on reaching your dreams. You're amazing. I thought everyone hated me, so I stopped talking to people because I didn't want to bother them. I just wished people weren't so mean. Same. And the ones who came up to me to be nice I assumed were faking it. I had undiagnosed inattentive ADHD, so my head was in the clouds more often than not. Undiagnosed ADHD plus social anxiety, almost certainly caused by social rejection by peers in K-8. Not fun. And not recognized until I was in college. I have ADHD as well. Smile. It was tough at first, but I've learned to embrace it to an extent. It's never too bad to live in the clouds, as the ground sucks sometimes. I hope you're doing well, less than 3. I didn't have much to say, and nobody else had much to say to me. I realized nobody has much to say to. Have you heard the extroverts talking? They say nothing good and talk shit. Had the same group of friends throughout middle school. Lost my social skills due to that and had a hard time making friends afterwards. I guess I'll share my side. I was frequently seen as weird and bullied for wearing pajamas and not looking put together during school, and just being an awkward kid with poor social skills. The reality was my home life wasn't that great. I had undiagnosed anxiety, and I was doing the bare minimum of showing up so people wouldn't think I was the D. When I made Valentine's letters for my class one year, I got teased for trying to be nice, and it only hurt my reputation more. This made me scared to talk to my peers, emotional and quiet. Thank God I graduated. How are you doing now? Why would you wear a pajama? I have autism, so all throughout my school years I wasn't very social because I just didn't know how. There was a big fear of rejection on my part. It didn't help that I was bullied, which made me go quiet, which got me even more bullied. I think the problem is that a lot of my interests just didn't line up with the other kids. I struggled much the same but have not been diagnosed. Trying to remember similar social situations and how other people reacted in those is exhausting. It is better to just be alone. I embraced being the weird kid for a while. Everyone ended up hating me. Not being able to be social or there emotionally for someone really sucks. I had nothing in common with the people at my school with the exception of 2 friends. I wasn't into anything that my peers were into or that they felt was important. Nothing has changed really. Home situation wasn't good, got treated like shit. Had zero self-esteem. Same. Undiagnosed autistic. Didn't get diagnosed until 24, which explained so much. Spent a lot of time wondering what people expected of me and never figuring it out. I also had less common interests. Growing up in a fishing village, there were very few people with similar interests because there weren't many people to begin with. I tried to talk to people when I first started school. Then went on to get bullied and gave up. So I just sit at the back and kept myself to myself. You know, I hated it but not a lot I could do. I am a very confident and comfortable person now. Took a long time. Then, poor kid in the class. Wet the bed till I was 12. Always wore very used clothes. Very poor grades because I couldn't focus on anything. Trusted everyone so I got taken advantage of a ton. Picked on most days. It's hard being the kid that nobody wants to be around. Things are very different now, but the journey from there to here was so hard. Almost killed me more than once. Edit, spelling. Nobody sat with me at lunch. Nobody wanted to talk to me. I was the epitome of the quiet kid. Why, you may ask? I was an asshole in middle school, and I completely got my act together the summer after 8th grade. Started going to church, quit bad habits, started being more polite, started developing study habits, etc. The only problem is, I completely ruined my chances of getting into any cliques in middle school, and people in high school already had their social circles built. So I silently studied, avoided people, didn't talk much, and people just didn't notice me. By the time I was in 12th grade, I was able to merge into social circles with the younger grades because they didn't know me before. I did an internship where I would teach algebra kids, and I met my second girlfriend this way. She had a severe medical condition that had her hospitalized for a year, so she ended up having to redo algebra. She was 3 months younger than me because I'm a year younger than my grade. I started kindergarten a year early. She would come for tutoring and I'd help her every day since I'm a math guy. She told me she wanted to take AP Chem and I knew she didn't have the math skill for it, so as her mentor I really wanted to see her succeed. I spent countless hours building her a full binder of step-by-step how to do every mathematical concept and chemistry concept so she would have a chance. I gave it to her on my last day of high school, and she, unknown to me until afterwards, fell in love with me at that moment. She invited me out to the library and for coffee, and I gladly accepted. We eventually just ended up dating cause we hung out outside of school a lot over the summer. This is such a sweet story. BTW, I am still anxious about numbers because of how bad I am at math. I seriously get numbers confused and jumbled and backwards. If someone helped me with math like you did your second GF, I'm sure I'd fall in love too. How are you guys now? Still together? Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.